Guys, I'm so excited. We have a brand new Screen Team for you. And if you're not familiar with the Screen Team, we are a movie review show. And what we do is we review movies. Pretty simple, right? We do movies in the theater sometimes. We do a lot of new DVD movies. And we do a lot of personal films. Films that we want to showcase to the listeners. Films you might have forgotten about. And we've got three very, very special films that you might know, you might not know. You might have been like, oh, I forgot about that movie. And we've got two very, very special guest here inside the Screen Team studios. We've got Tonica. Tonica, good to see you. Very, very good to see you.
Yes.
And we got your mom again, Tonica's mom.
I'm so
Patricia.
excited.
Patricia, we love having you on the show. We really do. Last time you came in and you did Breakfast at Tiffany's, and which was a classic, and you were like, I want to come back. I want to do some more classics. And we've got three very, very good ones. The Best Years of Our Lives, Walk in the Clouds, and The Big Country. Before we get into all three of these films individually, why did you choose these three? Did you choose the three, or did Tonica?
Oh, these are her movies.
It's Mom? Okay.
Because I saw them on TV, and I kept putting the DVR on and check them again. The Best Years of Our Lives, I've watched that, I think, 5 times.
Yeah.
And Big Country, I have a little DV, what do you call it, machine.
DVD player, yeah.
And I've watched Big Country several times on that. And then Walk in the Clouds is just one of my favorite movies, with Keanu Reeves especially.
All right, let's get it started with The Best Years of Our Lives. And this is a movie I've never seen before. I had always heard of it, but I never really gave it a chance. But this movie's big time. It won 7 Academy Awards: Best Picture, Best Supporting Actor, Best Actor. This is an epic film. It's really, really good. It's an emotionally driven film. Who wants to go over the plot? Tonica, Mom, who wants to go first?
Hey, she said she was going to talk first, so
okay.
She has it.
Well, it's basically about 3 men who come back from the war and trying to adjust to the situation. And you have the banker who was a sergeant in the war, and he comes back and he's a banker. And he has problems even giving loans because they don't want to give loans to soldiers who don't have equity. And then you've got Fred, who comes back, and he was the captain, but then he worked in a drugstore. And he comes back, and he thinks he can become manager of the drugstore, and here this guy that was just a little guy and worth nothing becomes a manager, so he has to go back and work as a soda jerk. And then you have Homer, who has no arms, and he comes back and he tries to adapt. And he has his girlfriend, Wilma. He doesn't feel that he's good enough for her or for anything. So you have basically these 3 people, and they're trying just to acclimate themselves. And then you have Fred's wife, who is unfaithful, and she doesn't care anything about the war, but she likes him in the uniform.
That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Yes, and then you have Teresa Wright, who's Peggy, and she is the banker's daughter, and so she falls in love with Fred, and she doesn't care because she thinks he's a wonderful guy, and she said one time she's going to break up a marriage, but she was just naive, didn't realize, the goings on of the wild world. So that's basically what you're working with in this movie.
So what is it we like about this film? I mean, this movie is an Academy Award-winning film. So is it the acting you guys like? Is it the overall story? What is it you guys think about this film?
For me, I think when it came out, it beat It's a Wonderful Life.
Did it really?
Yes, and that's why It's a Wonderful Life did not get all of the awards you were thinking it was going to because of this movie. And this movie, I think it's so real. And it gave a touch because it had to be such a shocking thing because there really wasn't a lot of movies before this that dealt with coming back from the war. It was all about war heroes, and it was all about the glamorization of the war, where this was just an honest and And just to see how the guy that lost his hands, how he had to adjust, and how people treated him, and it was you even saw the anti-war people that was in it. Even the banker's son was anti-war, and then you had the man that was in the store that was confronting Homer, who was the guy without hands. It was just it kind of let you wake up about stuff. But back then they didn't talk about PTSDs and stuff, and you saw that so much in this, and just the imagery that it seemed like there was lengthy scenes, because now they would cut that down, but having those lengthy scenes brought out so much more of the emotions, like him being up in the fighter plane, and you look up at him and he's imagining exactly what was going on when he was in that plane.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's just the imagery is just remarkable, and how they play the music and how they bring in the story and make it humanized.
Yeah,
so
Tonica,
I like that.
I wanna piggyback on what you said. When you see a lot of war films, and you usually see these in Vietnam type films, like Born on the 4th of July, stuff like that. When it comes to World War II movies, like you said, everything seemed very glamorous. Everything seemed so perfect. We won the war. We were all so happy. And then, boom, we had the big, the baby boom, and everything was great and grand. And you don't realize that there was a lot of heartaches and a lot of turmoil that these soldiers had to go through coming back. And I like that that this movie was honest, and it showed that to us. I want to mention a little bit about Homer. Homer did not have any arms or hands. He had those like little hooks, or
he had the hooks.
Yeah, and he is the only actor that has won 2 Oscars
for the same
role. Yeah. He won Best Supporting Actor, but they gave him a special Oscar because they didn't think he was going to win the Best Supporting Actor. Right. And he ended up winning, so he got two Oscars for the same role. Did you guys have any favorite characters in the film?
Well, I like Fred because I like Dana Andrews.
Yeah, I liked Fred too.
Yeah. And I felt that he really was suffering. And his wife he came back and he just thought everything's going to be just great. And she was like a war bride. He didn't really know her. And she was just all for fun and glamour.
Yeah.
And I thought Virginia Mayo did a great job playing that role of just not caring. And they went through all of Fred's money that he had gotten from, for adjustment money. And then she just didn't want him. And she said he could go anywhere and work at a drugstore and put him down rather than, him having somebody that he could really talk to. And I think that's where Peggy came in. Mm-hmm. Because she was so giving, and she was so, in some ways so naive, really, to what all was going on around, because she didn't really understand what her father even was going through as a banker coming back.
Right.
Him being so important, but then in the war he was just a sergeant. And he pointed that out several times. And when he tried to give the loan to the soldier, and they said he just couldn't, and he gave it anyway. And then when he spoke in front of all the other bankers, he had to get drunk in order to praise the banking system. So it just, to me, because I'm older than you two, and I remember the end of the war, and my family I was in Flint, Michigan, and they drove their cars into town, and everybody honked their horns. Mm-hmm. And it was such a celebration. But I lived in a factory town, so the women were the ones put out of the jobs. The men came back and took the jobs in the factory.
Right.
So you had a whole different dynamic there. It wasn't like this town where the men had trouble coming back and finding work.
Yeah. I'm curious. I think all three of us really enjoyed this film. We really like this film. Who would you guys recommend this film to? Who do you think is going to enjoy it?
Anybody that likes history.
Mm-hmm.
And It is kind of a romantic movie, but I don't really think it's that overly romantic.
So just people who like history and can appreciate.
Yes.
Okay.
It's such a character study.
Yeah.
Homer, especially, what he was going through, and he just felt like he was just unworthy. He could not see himself. I mean, his parents and everybody tried to make him so comfortable, and then trying to make him so comfortable and overdoing it, they made him so that he was just uneasy. And it was such an adjustment for everybody.
It really was. The movie is called The Best Years of Our Lives, and you can find it on DVD. Coming up after the break, we're going to review a movie that is one of my all-time new personal favorites. It's called A Walk in the Clouds. We'll talk about that next on KWOC.